The world doesn't want you to know that. How numerology and Masonic knowledge will help you activate your pineal gland and use its energy to vibrate more and attract everything you want. This is the Flower of Infinity channel. Subscribe and activate the bell. Come with me on this journey of forbidden knowledge. Everything will change as soon as you learn this. Knowledge of the 33rd Masonic Degree. Throughout the annals of Western esotericism and fraternal traditions, few institutions have garnered as much widespread fascination as Freemasonry. Its roots, reaching back centuries, carry forward an assemblage of philosophies, moral teachings, and allegories that have influenced cultures across Europe and the Americas. Within the broad network of Masonic practices, the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite emerges as one of the most influential branches. Notably, it awards a series of degrees from the 4th to the 33rd, culminating in the 33rd degree, often referred to as the pinnacle of Scottish Rite Masonry. In parallel, the glandula pineal, or pineal gland, has long been a subject of curiosity in both Western and Eastern mystic traditions. Revered as the seat of the soul by René Descartes, and posited as the biological correlate for the third eye in numerous spiritual texts, the pineal gland continues to capture the human imagination. Over the past decades, New Age thought and esoteric circles have re-examined this tiny organ, suggesting it may hold the key to heightened awareness, spiritual vision, or even cosmic enlightenment. This text aims to provide a narrative at once dissertative and exploratory that guides the reader through the interplay between the 33rd Masonic degree and notions of pineal gland activation. We will dissect the official stance on the 33rd degree within the Scottish Rite, tracing its historical importance and symbolic gravitas. Then we will delve into interpretations that link the number 33 to esoteric frameworks, particularly those involving the pineal gland as a catalyst of spiritual awakening. While official Masonic documents do not commonly address such a correlation, modern esoteric and syncretic perspectives have found resonance in aligning the attainment of the highest Scottish Rite degree with the metaphorical or literal activation of one's inner vision. By highlighting both the traditional and the esoteric viewpoints, this discussion will attempt to reconcile how these narratives coexist, overlap, or occasionally diverge. We will explore historical texts, recognized Masonic publications, and academic perspectives, all while keeping an eye on the interpretations of modern authors, mystics, and occultists who interweave Masonic symbolism with broader spiritual doctrines. The Masonic context, a brief overview. Freemasonry, as a worldwide fraternity, traces many of its formal lodges to operative stonemasons' guilds of the Middle Ages, evolving from practical building techniques toward a speculative model of moral and philosophical instruction. By the early 18th century, English Freemasonry experienced significant organizational shaping that led to the formation of the premier Grand Lodge of England in 1717. Over the century that followed, Masonic systems proliferated across Europe and other continents, absorbing regional traditions and adopting additional degrees beyond the initial 3 of craft masonry. The emergence of the Scottish Rite. Among the appended degrees that gained traction in the 18th and 19th centuries, the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite stands out. Despite the name Scottish, much of its codification and consolidation transpired in France and in the United States. The Rite consists of 33 degrees starting from the 4th degree, immediately after the foundational 3 degrees of craft masonry, and culminating in the 33rd. In essence, the Scottish Rite presents a layered tapestry of moral teachings, allegories, and symbolic elements that reflect influences ranging from Old Testament narratives and chivalric ideals to Enlightenment-era rationalism. Each degree aims to impart philosophical or ethical lessons, forging a roadmap for moral elevation. Within this system, the 33rd degree is conferred as a capstone, signifying a place of honor, recognition, or leadership. The significance of ritual in Freemasonry. Rituals in Freemasonry, especially within the Scottish Rite, carry a dual function. They preserve tradition while symbolically guiding initiates through moral and spiritual truths. Though the specifics of these rituals remain largely confidential to members, the overarching premise is one of moral betterment and personal growth. Rites often incorporate dramatic presentations, ceremonial garments, and the use of symbolic implements. Each gesture woven into a didactic allegory about virtue, brotherhood, or the pursuit of knowledge. Secrecy, allegory, and accessibility. Freemasonry's emphasis on secrecy has historically spurred a wealth of public intrigue. Critics and supporters alike have speculated on hidden doctrines, secret powers, or conspiratorial undertakings. In reality, the secrecy primarily functions to safeguard solemn initiatory experiences and ensure the privacy of members. The deeper philosophical content of Freemasonry has been extensively discussed in many open-source publications, from Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma to Rex R. Hutchins' A Bridge to Light, giving a broad overview of the moral and philosophical landscape of the Rite. In short, it is clear that Freemasonry forms a rich mosaic of moral teachings and symbolic frameworks, each providing opportunities for personal reflection. As such, the 33rd degree stands at the summit of this mosaic, representing both a recognition of service and a culmination of ethical and philosophical progression, albeit far more in an administrative sense than a mystical one. The 33rd degree of the Scottish Rite: historical emergence and symbolic import. The 33rd degree in the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite often evokes impressions of rarity and heightened spiritual authority. Indeed, within the Rite structure, the 33rd degree is officially titled the Inspector General Honorary, overseen by the Supreme Council. However, its precise nature, be it purely administrative or deeply esoteric, remains a subject of debate among members and observers. Establishment of the 33rd degree. Historically, the Scottish Rite first took recognizable shape in the mid to late 18th century, with various rites and degrees in flux. The Supreme Council of the 33rd degree was famously established in Charleston, South Carolina, in 1801, often referred to as the Mother Supreme Council of the World. Over time, other Supreme Councils were formed internationally, each holding jurisdiction over its Scottish Rite bodies. The 33rd degree was formalized as the ultimate authority within these Supreme Councils, conferring upon its holders the power to govern the Rite within their territories. Candidates for the 33rd degree were, and remain, selected based on merit, dedicated service to the fraternity, and exemplary moral conduct. For many decades, membership in the 33rd degree was, therefore, more of an administrative or honorific role than a direct measure of spiritual progress. The influence of Albert Pike in Morals and Dogma. Albert Pike, 1809–1891, a central figure in the Scottish Rite's southern jurisdiction of the United States, deeply influenced the Rite's rituals and interpretations. His landmark work, Morals and Dogma of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, provides extensive commentary on the degrees from the 4th to the 32nd, with supplementary notes touching on the 33rd. Pike's writing is dense, often venturing into Kabbalistic, Hermetic, and comparative religious commentary. While Pike expounded upon various esoteric and mythological themes, his discussion of the 33rd degree maintains a focus on duty, moral responsibility, and leadership within the Rite. Nowhere does he explicitly link the 33rd degree to the physiological or mystical activation of the pineal gland, nor does he advocate a literal third eye concept as part of Masonic doctrine. Honor service and symbolism. Symbolically, the 33rd degree has been described as an apex of responsibility. Some Masonic documents point out the degree's overarching dedication to the welfare of the Rite and the broader moral mission of Freemasonry. Holders of the 33rd degree are typically endowed with additional decision-making authority, seats on the Supreme Council, or roles in the governance of local valleys and orients under the Rite's umbrella. Yet it is precisely this organizational apex that has intrigued esoteric-minded observers. The number 33 resonates with numerological significance across numerous spiritual traditions, prompting questions about whether the degree's numbering is purely coincidental or deliberately intended to allude to a deeper cosmic or mystic principle. These queries lay the groundwork for explorations of the pineal gland as an alleged seat of mystical insight, a concept that emerges more strongly in non-official Masonic or fringe esoteric interpretations rather than in mainstream Masonic teachings. The pineal gland, ancient mysteries and modern science. While Freemasonry historically occupies a predominantly Western or Euro-American context, the esoteric fascination with the pineal gland extends across global traditions. Also known as the epiphysis cerebri, the pineal gland is a small endocrine organ in the vertebrate brain, producing melatonin and modulating circadian rhythms. Beyond this biological function, the pineal gland has sparked spiritual intrigue for millennia. Early philosophical references. The philosophical significance of the pineal gland gained particular prominence in the works of the 17th century French philosopher René Descartes, who proposed that this gland might be the seat of the human soul. Although Descartes' argument was primarily metaphysical and not directly linked to any system of mystical practice, it galvanized centuries of speculation regarding the gland's spiritual potential. Furthermore, Eastern traditions, especially in Hindu, Buddhist, and Taoist contexts, often reference the concept of the third eye, or Ajna chakra. While the direct anatomical identification of the Ajna chakra with the pineal gland is modern and not explicitly spelled out in ancient texts, many New Age and contemporary practitioners conflate the two. This correlation gives the pineal gland a revered position, suggesting it can be activated to access heightened states of consciousness. Scientific understanding. On a purely physiological level, the pineal gland synthesizes melatonin from serotonin, influencing sleep and wake cycles. It also has a role in reproductive function and seasonal adaptation in certain animals. Among humans, its calcification over age has been noted, though the significance of such calcification remains somewhat contentious. Some modern esoteric authors propose that decalcification of the pineal gland, often through dietary regimens, meditation, or certain spiritual exercises, can restore or enhance psychic sensitivity. Medical science does not officially endorse claims that the pineal gland confers supernatural abilities. Nonetheless, the notion of pineal activation, or third eye awakening, persists, bridging the gap between physiological science and metaphysical speculation. Symbolic equivalence in myth and art. The symbolism tied to the pineal gland can be found in iconography across the ancient world. The pine cone shape often appears in religious art, from ancient Mesopotamian reliefs to the staff of the Egyptian god Osiris. The Vatican's Court of the Pine Cone in Rome, featuring a large bronze pine cone statue, has occasionally been cited in conspiratorial or occult-leaning interpretations that see evidence of a hidden tradition surrounding the pineal gland. Whether or not these artifacts directly represent the pineal gland remains speculative, yet they highlight a global archetype of a pine cone or seed-like structure symbolizing growth, illumination, or eternal life. When such archetypes intersect with modern Masonic symbolism, particularly the all-seeing eye or the concept of spiritual ascension, some esoteric authors weave compelling narratives about the potential synergy between Masonic degrees and pineal awakening. Esoteric interpretations. The third eye, Kundalini, and the number 33. As we have seen, official Masonic doctrine and scientific analysis of the pineal gland rarely, if ever, converge. However, in the realm of esotericism, where numerology, mysticism, and cross-cultural symbolism overlap, concepts like the third eye and the magical significance of the number 33 have naturally led to speculative linkages. This section explores these ideas in greater depth, emphasizing how and why the pineal gland becomes entangled in discussions about the 33rd degree of the Scottish Rite. Kundalini chakras and the spine. In certain strands of Hindu and yogic tradition, Kundalini is described as a latent spiritual force coiled at the base of the spine. Through meditative and yogic exercises, practitioners aim to awaken this energy and guide it upward through a series of chakras, culminating in illumination or samadhi. Some contemporary esoteric authors, often influenced by mid-20th century New Age movements, note that humans have 33 vertebrae if one includes certain fused segments, the sacral and coccygeal vertebrae. They see a symbolic resonance in the notion that spiritual energy ascends 33 steps along the spinal column until it reaches the crown of the head, near the pineal gland. While official Masonic teachings do not claim any direct knowledge or reference to Kundalini processes, numerically minded practitioners interpret the 33rd degree as a final step, akin to the awakened consciousness at the crown of the spine. In this framework, the activation of the pineal gland stands as an esoteric mirror to the spiritual attainment that the 33rd degree presumably represents in a metaphorical sense. The all-seeing eye and eye of Horus. Another element that spurs speculation is the Masonic symbol of the all-seeing eye, commonly understood to represent the omniscient presence of the great architect of the universe, Freemasonry's inclusive concept of a divine principle or deity. This eye motif appears across multiple cultures, most notably the Egyptian Eye of Horus and the Christian Eye of Providence. Esoteric writers often identify this mystical eye with the pineal gland, linking it to the idea of a third eye, or seat of higher vision. From this vantage point, the culminating Masonic degree is sometimes portrayed as the highest vantage point of spiritual insight. While this reading is not recognized or taught in standard Masonic jurisprudence, it resonates strongly in syncretic circles that unite Egyptian, Christian, Hermetic, and Masonic imagery into a single interpretive tapestry. Numerological significance of 33. Beyond the spinal correlation, the number 33 features in multiple spiritual or cultural references. Jesus Christ, in Christian tradition, is often believed to have died at the age of 33, a potent symbol of completion or fulfillment of a divine mission. Numerologically, 33 is sometimes termed a master number, representing altruism, compassion, and higher wisdom. Hence, from a purely symbolic standpoint, the 33rd Masonic degree may be seen by some as more than an administrative rank. It becomes an emblem of a universal mystical code. In these interpretations, the awarding of the 33rd degree corresponds to an advanced stage of spiritual or moral achievement, paralleling the notion of pineal activation as a final threshold of enlightenment. The convergence of Masonic and esoteric thought. Given the labyrinthine nature of Masonic tradition and the creative freedoms of occult speculation, the modern discussion that equates the 33rd degree with pineal gland activation reflects a convergence of symbolic systems. This convergence is not monolithic. Different authors, orders, and individual practitioners may propose varying degrees of correlation, sometimes contradictory in detail but united by the same impetus: to interpret the external structure of a revered institution, Freemasonry, through an internal spiritual lens, esotericism. Shared archetypes, light, vision, and transformation. Both Freemasonry and esoteric traditions emphasize the journey from darkness to light. In Masonic initiation, candidates symbolically move from a state of ignorance, darkness, toward enlightenment, light, via ritual. Similarly, the third eye, or pineal concept, involves transitioning from mundane perception to an illumined state of expanded consciousness. Thus, even if the direct mention of pineal activation does not exist in Masonic rites, the shared allegory of illumination underscores why the two concepts can be poetically intertwined. Syncretism and the modern occult revival. Beginning in the late 19th century, movements like Theosophy, spearheaded by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, and later the Rosicrucian and Hermetic revivals, sought to unify a diversity of mystical traditions under a single umbrella. Freemasonry, with its storied allegories and symbolic structure, presented a compelling puzzle piece. Figures such as Manly P. Hall expanded on Masonic motifs in works like The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, sometimes weaving in references to Hermetic, Egyptian, and Eastern doctrines that had no official foothold in standard Masonic ritual. As these syncretic traditions gained popularity, parallels between the 33rd degree and 33 vertebrae, the pineal gland, and spiritual ascension took shape. Yet these parallels often remain absent from official Masonic discourse, living instead in the interpretive realm of occult or New Age thinkers seeking universal truths in overlapping symbols. Personal journeys and experiential accounts. It is not uncommon for individuals who are both practicing Freemasons and enthusiasts of Eastern spirituality or New Age philosophies to articulate personal testimonies of how their Masonic journey resonates with chakra work or meditation on the pineal gland. In these instances, a Mason might reach a high degree in the Scottish Rite, while simultaneously engaging in esoteric practices and conclude that the two paths support one another. These personal narratives, while compelling, do not necessarily represent a recognized viewpoint within Freemasonry. Rather, they exemplify how contemporary practitioners can hold dual allegiances, one to the official historical line of the lodge and another to their broader spiritual explorations. Divergence from official Masonic teachings. Despite the rich tapestry of esoteric correlations, it is critical to underscore the divergence between official Masonic teachings and esoteric or fringe interpretations. Masonic rituals, degrees, and constitutions, especially those governed by supreme councils, focus predominantly on moral, ethical, and philanthropic dimensions. Rarely do they sanction or provide instruction regarding physiological theories or metaphysical practices like pineal activation. Administrative versus esoteric purposes. From the standpoint of recognized supreme councils, the 33rd degree confers an enhanced administrative responsibility. Members who attain this rank may take part in the governance and strategic direction of the Scottish Rite. Ritual texts, accessible to those initiated in the Rite, underscore the vow to uphold the fraternity's values, exemplify leadership, and embody moral rectitude. Though the ceremonies include symbolic elements that could lend themselves to a spiritual reading, an overt invitation to explore the third eye or the pineal gland does not appear. Caution against pseudonymous publications. Over centuries, numerous anti-Masonic texts, conspiratorial pamphlets, or pseudonymous works have emerged, purporting to unveil secrets linking Freemasonry to shadowy control of society or advanced occult powers. While it is true that the Rite employs symbolic secrecy, official Masonic bodies have repeatedly discredited these sensationalist claims, maintaining that their fraternities operate transparently in the realm of charity, education, and moral fellowship. In a similar sense, esoteric interpretations that insist the 33rd degree is explicitly about pineal gland activation fall into a category of spiritual speculation not endorsed by recognized Masonic authorities. Researchers or enthusiasts exploring these topics must therefore distinguish between legitimate Masonic texts and speculative writings that overlay personal esoteric frameworks onto Masonic degrees. Respect for personal belief. To say that official Masonic teachings do not cover pineal gland activation is not to dismiss the personal spiritual journeys of individual Freemasons. Throughout history, many prominent Masons, like Manly P. Hall, contributed to broader esoteric discourses. Others might privately engage in mystical pursuits, seeing the lodge as a place that fosters reflection and moral growth. Nonetheless, these pursuits do not constitute an officially taught or endorsed aspect of Masonic curriculum. Understanding this boundary is essential for anyone seeking factual clarity about Freemasonry's stance on such matters. Contemporary perspectives and future outlook. In today's hyper-connected world, the lines between official tradition and personal reinterpretation often blur. Social media, digital libraries, and online forums allow for instantaneous sharing of alternative readings, imaginative parallels, and creative expansions on Masonic themes. The pineal gland, with its aura of mystery, remains a popular topic among spiritual seekers, mental health advocates, and esoteric authors alike. Popularity of esoteric themes in the digital era. Podcasts, YouTube channels, and countless blog posts delve into the confluence of Freemasonry, numerology, and pineal activation. Some presenters highlight anecdotal experiences of mystical awakenings coinciding with advanced Masonic initiation. These narratives might attract viewers or readers who are curious about the secret knowledge rumored to reside in the 33rd degree. However, digital platforms also host rigorous Masonic historians, academic researchers, and recognized Masonic representatives who clarify the official stance and correct misconceptions. These voices underscore that while discussions of the pineal gland can be intellectually stimulating, they are not part of the recognized teachings of the Scottish Rite. Interdisciplinary research in the pineal gland. On the scientific side, research on the pineal gland continues, particularly regarding its role in circadian rhythms, mental health, e.g., seasonal affective disorder, and neuroendocrinology. Though mainstream science does not entertain the concept of spiritual activation, a growing body of research explores how meditative or mindfulness practices influence the brain. Some studies hint at changes in brainwave patterns and neuroplasticity related to contemplative disciplines. While these do not confirm esoteric claims about a third eye, they do suggest that certain spiritual practices have measurable effects on mental and emotional well-being. It remains to be seen if future interdisciplinary studies will delve deeper into the pineal gland from a metaphysical perspective. For now, the gap between academic neurology and esoteric speculation remains wide, albeit bridged by the personal experiences and convictions of those who engage in both. The evolution of Masonic philosophy. The ancient and accepted Scottish Rite has undergone periodic revisions, most famously with Albert Pike's extensive rewrites in the 19th century, and continues to adapt to contemporary cultural and educational contexts. While formal documents rarely shift drastically, the interpretive atmosphere among members can evolve. Younger generations of Masons, often well-versed in global spiritual traditions and digital resources, bring fresh perspectives. Could the Rite itself someday more openly engage questions of esoteric physiology or pineal gland symbolism? Some Masonic lodges may organize lectures, philosophical discourses, or study groups that tackle fringe topics. Yet the official framework of the Rite is unlikely to morph into a spiritual discipline centered on pineal awakening, as its charter remains predominantly anchored in moral, ethical, and philanthropic objectives. Synthesis: balancing tradition, symbol, and personal quest. Given the breadth of explorations above, we can synthesize the major themes that characterize the conversation around the 33rd degree and the pineal gland. Masonic tradition. The 33rd degree holds formal authority and is conferred by supreme councils within the Scottish Rite. It signifies administrative leadership, moral distinction, and an apex of service rather than a codified spiritual or physiological milestone. Freemasonry's official rituals and documents do not mention or promote pineal gland activation. Esoteric interpretation. Some modern occult or syncretic traditions link the number 33 with spinal chakras, the pinnacle of Kundalini, or Christ's lifespan, thereby framing the 33rd degree as an esoteric apex. The pineal gland, often dubbed the third eye, is invoked as a symbol of mystical perception, aligning with the all-seeing eye in Masonic iconography for those seeking deeper spiritual correlates. These connections primarily arise outside of official Masonic discourse, in personal or fringe interpretations. Personal spiritual journeys. Individual Masons may engage with esoteric or meditative practices that incorporate pineal concepts, creating a unique synthesis of Masonic affiliation and personal spirituality. While these experiences are valid on a personal level, they do not define universal Masonic teaching. Cultural and academic considerations. The global curiosity about hidden knowledge fuels continued interest in the intersection of Freemasonry and mystical physiology. Academic historians, sociologists, and anthropologists may occasionally explore how Masonic symbols are interpreted in evolving cultural contexts, but generally do not affirm literal metaphysical claims. The 33rd Masonic degree within the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite stands as a prestigious attainment, symbolizing both an organizational summit and a testament to one's commitment to the fraternity's moral tenets. Officially, it serves to distinguish members who have contributed exemplary service, who have embodied the Rite's values, and who are entrusted with leadership. In that sense, it is less a mystical attainment than an honorific or administrative status within the Masonic hierarchy. In contrast, the pineal gland, revered by esoteric traditions as a potential gateway to expanded consciousness, underscores humanity's long-standing fascination with hidden knowledge and deeper states of awareness. Its mystique has been shaped by ancient philosophical speculations, Eastern meditative frameworks, and modern spiritual movements that champion the concept of a third eye. When combined with the symbolic numerology of 33, the number of vertebrae, the age of Christ or numerological significance, a potent blend of spiritual interpretations emerges. This blend suggests that the 33rd degree might parallel the ultimate realization of higher consciousness, a perspective that resonates with mystical traditions but resides outside of mainstream Masonic doctrine. Indeed, there is no official endorsement by recognized Masonic bodies of the idea that one's acceptance into the 33rd degree triggers or reflects pineal activation. Instead, we see two parallel realms of discourse. One realm is the structured, historically rooted Masonic system, which accentuates ethical frameworks, brotherhood, charitable endeavor, and intellectual growth. The other is a more eclectic sphere of esoteric exploration, wherein numerology, physiology, and ancient symbology coalesce, leading some practitioners and theorists to draw connections that might not exist in the formal Masonic framework. From a practical standpoint, those who wish to explore the link between the 33rd degree and pineal gland activation should understand the difference between institutional Freemasonry, with its constitutions, ritual rubrics, and administrative offices, and the broader esoteric subculture that appropriates and reinterprets Masonic symbols. Both spheres offer insights into human attempts to approach the unknown, to transcend ordinary life, and to seek meaning in layered symbols. In Masonic lodges, the quest is often couched in moral allegory and community engagement. In esoteric circles, the quest may revolve around inward transformation and metaphysical revelation. These quests can coexist in an individual Mason's life, but are not systematically linked in an official capacity. Ultimately, the debate over whether the 33rd degree reflects the pinnacle of spiritual awakening, symbolized by the pineal gland, spotlights a broader truth about human nature. We are inclined to seek deeper significance in numerical patterns, bodily structures, and centuries-old rites. The narratives we build, whether through orthodox ritual or imaginative synthesis, serve to broaden our understanding of what it means to be enlightened, honorable, and in pursuit of higher truths. Freemasonry, in its official stance, provides one pathway through layered symbolism, moral guidance, and fellowship. Esoteric traditions, spanning East and West, offer another lens, inviting personal introspection, meditative practice, and fascination with hidden forces. In weaving these threads together, we find a rich tapestry of interpretive possibilities. While no universal agreement exists on whether the number 33 inherently corresponds to pineal awakening, the conversation itself mirrors the perennial human desire to connect cosmic patterns with personal growth, outer fraternity with inner transformation. The 33rd degree may remain, for many, a testament to selfless service and leadership within the Scottish Rite. Yet for others, It marks an allegorical gateway to higher perception, an intimation of the potential that lies latent within each individual. Thus, the power of these symbols resides not solely in official documents or scientific verification, but in their capacity to inspire and illuminate the seeker's personal journey. So does the 33rd Masonic degree really represent a portal to enlightenment and activation of the pineal gland? Or is it just a modern interpretation connecting ancient symbols with new esoteric visions? Regardless of point of view, what is clear is that the mysteries of Freemasonry and spiritual awakening continue to fascinate scholars, initiates, and truth seekers around the world. If you like this content and want to see more videos about symbolism, esotericism, and initiatory societies, leave a like, share with those who are also interested in the topic, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Activate the bell to receive all notifications and leave your comment below. What do you think of this connection between the 33rd degree and the pineal gland? Let's continue this conversation. See you in the next video.